Welcome to the Land Cave, where we're living as nerds. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Hi.
Yeah, we're talking gaming news and nerd news and general like Star Wars stuff and all the kind of cool stuff that the cool kids like. Mostly PlayStation, Star Wars, whatever. But like
and Nintendo's in there too.
Nintendo is in there too, as
with some rare Xbox exceptions. I wasn't here last week because my internet was broken, but if you notice, there was an Xbox story purposely found.
We're not purposely picking stories and not choosing Xbox stories. We do choose stories we think that people want to hear about, but there's not been a lot in regards to Xbox that doesn't have to do with other video games and publishers, whatever. So, but
as soon as I hear more about Scarlet, we'll be on it.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, this week we have some PlayStation news, but I thought we'd start off. I think I talked about it before, but I've been playing some Jedi Knight still, and I'm loving it. I'm loving this game. More difficult than I remember. Like, I remember just breezing through this game, but I'm loving it. I had to look up like 2 or 3 things in walkthroughs, where I've gotten to the point now where I don't look up a full walkthrough, but if I get stuck on something, I'm like, okay, I've spent quite a bit of time doing nothing or dying for no reason, so let me figure out what's going on. So
I don't think anybody looks up full walkthroughs. I think unless they're doing a trophy guide, like if they're trying to get like all the achievements or trophies, then they definitely look up a guide for that. And I've looked up a guide for like Final Fantasy VIII for those trophies, for example. But like, you always look up a guide when you get stuck.
Well, the only time that I looked up something the first time I ever played a game, the only time that I was like, you know what, I'm going to do all of this thing. Like, I didn't want to go a full walkthrough, but I was playing Breath of the Wild, and I'm like, I'm going to get every shrine. Koroks were just ridiculous, but I was like, I can get every shrine. That's easy.
Yeah, and even then, I didn't look up the walkthrough on like how to activate the shrines.
Same.
I looked at IGN actually has an interactive map that I definitely like. I didn't do it on my first playthrough. I did it on my second one where I wanted the 120, and yeah, definitely. Who cares? Like, there's no way I would have found all 120 on my own. That was definitely a crowdsourced type thing. Like, and it was even cool because there's like little things in there where it's like, oh yeah, you have to do this to get certain ones. Like, there's one I remember that you have to like shoot an arrow into the sky at like the right time of day.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gotten that.
I wouldn't have gotten that either. Yeah. So what I did was I'd finish an area. And as I completed, that zone, then I would look into the map and be like, all right, what did I miss?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I played it. You've been playing some Zelda though.
Speaking of, yeah. So I was a little behind. I didn't get to start this exactly when I wanted to, but it's not a very long game at all. Link's Awakening remade. The game. This is I don't want to be too negative about this game. It got good reviews and everything, and like it's very cute and adorable.
Yeah.
But they could have tried. It's not like updated at all. Like, for example, I didn't notice until somebody mentioned it on Twitter, but like with the movement, right? They didn't enable the D-pad. So like the only way you can move is the sticks, but it's still like very like up, down, left, right movement. Like you can do some diagonals and stuff, but not really. It's a very shot-for-shot remake if you played the original. If you didn't play the original, you're probably like, yeah, this game's like cute and so on. If you did, you're just like, there's nothing different.
Yeah. Now, and as someone who did not play the original, I really liked it. Yeah. But I will say, $60 is a bit. It's a hefty price.
So slow.
Yeah.
It's clunk. Like, and that's the thing. 60, but like, as we all know from like the Zelda wedding ring and everything, it's hard to see.
Love it. There it goes. That's awesome.
We're out. There we go. I'm back. I will obviously buy it. You can't see the link above my head. But it should have been
all of my amiibos. I think I'm missing like 3 of Link.
I need a new one.
I don't have, but the new one's adorable.
Yeah, the new one is one of the best Link amiibos. It's so cute. It should have been $40. It should have been a
yes,
$40
not the amiibo,
game.
but the game, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree. I got a couple that I'm missing that I like the Ocarina Adult Link. I need to get Wind Waker, I think, because he's cute too. But Ocarina's.
I have Wolf Link from the
Twilight
remastered.
Yep. Do you have Epona?
No,
I like that one.
Honestly, whenever they're all good, I just don't like that they're all like $15.
Yeah,
it's a thing where I'm willing to pay $60 for this game, but $15 for these little plastic statues that I'm never ever going to move from this shelf up there.
That's true.
They're every once in a while, my wife gets me some things, and it gets added to the Zelda shelf up there.
I mean, I did buy the Disney Infinity ones. I bought these. I hardly played the game. It's kind of hard to see there, but I've got pretty much the original cast of Star Wars over here, rocking out. And I bought those because I was I just think they're adorable. And I probably shouldn't have spent.
Dude, there's so I'm glad I'm almost finished with this game because I felt bad. There's so much stuff, man. The amount of games releasing right now. We've gone into it. We had the podcast so you can feel free to listen to from a few weeks ago where we went through pretty much everything, but even since then there was other games that weren't on my radar. I'm just so behind.
So not even on my radar. Code Vein was on my radar. I've heard good things about it. I'm still considering it. And then completely not on my radar that should have been the Surge 2 came out. And people are saying mechanics-wise, the Surge 2 is better than Code Vein because they're both Souls-like games.
Yeah. I've heard that same exact thing.
Yeah, Code Vein apparently has ridiculous character customization, to the nth degree, because they don't, instead of collecting stuff, it's just make your character however you want and then go from there. But it's getting more stuff because of we'll just say some of the nice way I'll put this, some of the enhancing graphics that are in the game. That's what it's. Yeah, it's my nice way of saying it. I don't want to get derogative.
I heard in terms of if you're a Souls fiend, if you love you some Souls games, you will have a good time. I've heard that it's a solid 7, which there's nothing wrong with 7s.
Code Vein?
Yeah. But I heard Surge 2 was better.
Yeah.
And then there was a game that wasn't on my radar until literally 2 days ago called Indivisible. I don't know if you've heard of this game.
No.
But it was an Indiegogo game. And that's probably why I hadn't heard of it. But they took their combat from Valkyrie Profile. I don't know if you remember this game.
Yeah.
So it's like platformer-esque, but then in the battles, it's an RPG battle system that involves combos and stuff. It looks awesome.
Interesting.
But that came out just yesterday or today, and I haven't even gotten to Borderlands yet. I haven't gotten to Control yet.
Yeah, so
I need to play these games for. I think if we're gonna do Game of the Year discussions again, I need to play some games.
Yep. I'm in the same boat, and I think I told you before. I made that mid-year resolution. It wasn't a New Year's resolution, but mid-year resolution. I was I'm not gonna buy games anymore unless I'm playing them. I will buy the game because I'm playing it now. So there are other games that I do want to play, but I've not put the money down because I'm I don't have the time right now to play that game. So I've not picked up Borderlands. And it was only that reason. I wasn't trying to vote with my wallet or anything. It was I don't have time. And I would just buy the game because I'm I need it in my collection and I'll play it later. But I have a feeling that Black Friday I'm going to be dropping a lot of money.
Yeah, and then if you haven't gotten to it yet, because I didn't get to talk about it last week, buy Untitled Goose Game.
Yes.
It's a perfect game to play with your wife. It's 2 hours long, maybe 3 hours.
I haven't yet.
Cute.
Yeah. I haven't yet, cute. But dude, the memes are everywhere, all over the internet with it. For those of you who don't know, I'll be brief, but I've been off Facebook for the most part. For 3 weeks, but every now and then I'll jump on Imgur or something, and everybody's playing Untitled Goose Game. So, and apparently there's another game that's coming out where you solve murders as a gang of cats. And I'm that's unique.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I'll have to pull it up and but. Anyways, there's not enough time to play the games that we want to play now that we're adults. But
you know what there is time for? There is time to start saving your money.
Yep.
Because Sony dropped The announcement of it, they didn't do it very well, to be honest. It was a crappy way to announce it.
They did it through Wired.
Again.
Wired. We get some PlayStation announcements. So they've officially announced the name for the next PlayStation, which...
Be surprised, guys. It's a shock. You're never going to see this one coming.
I had no idea. what it was going to be. It's PlayStation 5. What? As we've been predicting, because we're not soothsayers or anything, it's like, this is the most... it's the clearest thing for PlayStation to do. It's the PlayStation 5. They're not going to deviate. So we've already heard a lot about it leading up to this, but we did get some official news. And I do like the notes that you put in here, because you put on the things that we've been talking about that no one's mentioning in the news article. So that's why you come to us. That's why you listen to us to talk about this. We got ray tracing, which is fantastic. If you don't know what this is, really it helps in regards to lighting, and it makes all the graphics look incredibly better. It's essentially like on-the-fly rendering. Better than on-the-fly rendering. It's rendering, but lighting, effects, and all kinds of stuff. It's amazing, and you can go to people who know a lot about technical stuff to learn about it. But ray tracing, always good, and we haven't had it on consoles.
This video is not an example of ray tracing.
No, it's not. I just grabbed some PlayStation Mark Kearney stuff. It was not ray tracing. But ray tracing,
which Mark Kearney is heavily involved in the announcement of PlayStation 5.
And that's why I grabbed it.
Do you say Kearney? I say Cerny.
I thought it was Kearney. I'll call him Cerny.
Okay.
I'll bow to you on that one.
But what's interesting about the ray tracing thing is available on PC. The most recent game that I know that emphasized it was the game I just mentioned a minute ago that I haven't gotten to yet was Control. Control was on PS4 and PC, and ray tracing was available. Every time I look at a ray tracing video, I don't see it. But apparently, if you're a graphics kind of guy or gal, it's up your alley.
Yeah. It's subtle. I will say it's subtle. It's very, because we're in the realm now, and I've talked about this. I could talk probably for an hour about the different aspects of graphics, but we're now in an age where it's not about what it used to be about. It used to be about resolution and draw distance, and then we got into talking about things like objects on screen, because that was a big deal. Not like the amount of enemies that could be on screen, or specifically just objects. Like what was the game Knack on PS4? That was totally just a way to let's get as many objects as we can on screen. It was a tech demo. But now we're in an age where we're pushing past that. We're going into little nuanced things that, graphics hogs will like. But I would say that if you're playing on like a 4K TV, you're going to notice a little bit more. But it's not something that you notice. It's not flashy. It's not flashy like the draw distance. Like, holy crap, I can see that tree on that mountain, and its leaves are moving. Like, that's ridiculous. But
which, we might get into Black Friday a little bit. That's not really, we don't really talk sales too much on the show, but I'll be sharing some stuff. But just to let you know, 4K is getting cheaper than ever. If you're still hitting on that 1080 action, if you're a gamer and you're a console gamer, the PS4 Pro already exists, and the Xbox One S already did it, and of course the Xbox.
Xbox One
blanking.
X.
There we go. I was about to call it Pro again.
Yeah.
4K is cheaper than ever. You can get you a decent 4K TV on Black Friday for something.
And you can do 4K Netflix and all that. So the TVs have the app in it, so you don't have to worry about seriously, just download the 4K the app, download Netflix, and then just upgrade to 4K. And
I love Roku TVs now. It's a hard thing to just
really
just turn the thing on and you just have all these apps lined up. Smart TVs are legit. You will never go back to anything once you start using smart.
So I will say the previous TV that we had, we had a 1080p TV in Texas.
Sure.
And we decided when we moved, we were like, okay, we're getting money with the house. Transporting a TV cross country, I'm like, something could happen.
Sure.
So I'm like, I'm going to sell the TV before we leave, and I'm going to buy a 4K TV when we arrive. And so it had everything lined up. And this is the previous TV that we had. I didn't use any of the apps on the 1080p TV. I don't know why I didn't. I honestly don't know why.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer. I think I told you about this already, but we started using all the apps on the TV instead of my Xbox. So I haven't turned on the Xbox since April.
Yeah, and just the simplistic remote to it all, where it's literally just like basically at least with the Roku. I know it's different with other ones, but with this particular brand of smart TV, it's literally like power, arrows, OK button.
That's it. Yeah, and ours also has like a back button and a home button.
Yeah,
that's about it. Yeah. It's totally good. Anyways, back to the
and you can wait, and you can even wait because I don't know if we actually said it, but this comes out 2020 holiday, so you can even wait till theoretically Black Friday of next year, and you'll probably be fine. But get a 4K TV. I
saw some decent 4K TVs because you'll see a lot of, and I will say there are some cheap 4K TVs. Still look for user reviews because some of them 4K is not equal to all 4K.
Nope.
What was it? Walmart and other places have sales of 4K TVs that are dirt cheap, but they no.
I mean, I have a TCL, which is like a mid range.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Like I usually go for mid-range because I want most bang for my buck, as most things in life. I've seen some
those deep blacks.
I've seen some 75-inch huge monsters for under 2K, and they were really good. Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. I'm not even at that level, but
someday.
Yeah, I got a 65, and 65 is giant.
Whenever I get a house with a game room.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. My living room kind of is, for that kind of stuff. Yeah. But anyways.
But speaking of other reasons to get a 4K with your PS5.
4K Blu-ray will be on there. It's about time, which I always thought was odd when they came out with the PS4 Pro that they didn't include this.
So dumb, dude.
Yeah, it was
absolutely dumb. You had Xbox beating you with your own like Sony owns Blu-ray, like it's there.
Yep.
It's theirs. They won the Ultra HD war when they beat Microsoft out of it, like, and you don't put that in your PS4 Pro. I mean, I get from a price perspective because the PS4 Pro is cheaper than the Xbox One X, but
it was pricing, and they thought streaming is dominating, so we're just going to say we'll just go for streaming. People who want the 4K Blu-ray player will get it elsewhere, which is what I did. I mean, with an Xbox.
But speaking to the size of games, like, just for anybody who's curious about, like, the biggest game that I've downloaded over the last 4 or 5 years was Red Dead, and that was after all the patches, it was over 100. The initial download, I think, was like 95. So these discs are going to be 100 gig discs. But what made this really cool was this next part. And the fact that they're going to be making modular installs.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes. This is sweet.
Yep. And I was watching multiple people on there who were like, "Oh, I'll just install the multiplayer version of this game," and I'm the opposite. I'm like, "I'll just install the single player version of this game."
Yeah.
Like I can't tell you, Gears of War and a bunch of others. Like I'll just be like, all I want to do is the single player. And I may play the multiplayer a little bit, but that's going to save so much space on so many of these games. My bad.
So for those who don't know what modular means whenever we're talking about that, like, it might be kind of obvious, but it might not be. So most of the time when you install a game, you install the whole thing, the whole enchilada. You don't get to mess with it or anything. It's just a big file, which is what most applications are. If you download something onto your phone or whatever, you get the whole thing. But what they're talking about here is that instead of one big thing, they're making their games into little squares, or however you want to picture it in your brain. And like, so you can just install the single player part of the game, or you can install the multiplayer, or say at the beginning, you can install everything. And then you're like, I beat the game. I beat Call of Duty's campaign. I'm never going to play that campaign again, but I am going to play some multiplayer. I'm going to save some gigs. I'm going to delete this 20. I'm going to keep this other 40 over here. And like, just this space saving feature is the coolest thing I've It's so dumb that this is this is so cool to me, but I was so happy to read this. Well, I never knew I wanted.
No, I agree. That's a great example of a developer looking at something and going, I think people like this. That's one of those, and that's something that they talk about people, visionaries, whatever, like Steve Jobs, where a killer app isn't something that you needed until someone shows it to you, and you're like, how did I live without that? That is it. In addition to that, which I didn't see on your notes, but there was talk about, I think there's not full details on it, but Cerny was talking about wanting to be able to, at a glance, look at a game on the UI to see like if there's something new going on in the game, or what are your next quests, or something popped up. So like, let's say Destiny.
Cool.
Yeah. So like, instead of loading up the game, you're like scrolling through and it's like, oh, Destiny, there's a new raid that's starting in 10 minutes.
That's awesome. Like a little social media feed for the game.
Yeah. So like, not necessarily like social media, maybe just from the developer. So the developer could like key in on multiplayer stuff. They could know where you are in the game, so they could show up like maybe Witcher, whatever the heck the game is.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's the game. You could probably talk to this person for a new mission, and you're like, oh man, maybe I'll do that. Like it's a way to get people engaged, but also kind of remind you where you are, but also be able to, like you said, social aspect. If something's going on, and it may hook you, and you decide to play that game instead of something else. So.
Well, I was saying that more from like the feed perspective of how it can go. Like from the devs, that's what I mean by social media. But like in terms of a thing where it's like, hey, I haven't played Horizon in months because I beat it, and I did buy the season pass just because I didn't think about it. Oh, hey, did you know that the season pass came out today? Like you could like go start the Frozen Wild right now if you want to go. Like that's cool. That's awesome. Like a thing to be like, hey, come back into the game. Yeah. I didn't notice that in the article. That's totally sweet.
Yeah, it's something, I can't remember if it's in this article, but Cerny was talking about it, and people have mentioned it. This is something that wasn't, I don't think it was in the official article, but it's something people were saying, like, this is something else that's going to be there. Which, the other thing that's going to be there that no one's mentioned in any of the articles that you put on here, which is why you come to our show.
Yeah.
Is that this is going to be backwards compatible with PS4 games. We've been talking about this. PlayStation's talked about it. Xbox has talked about it. Xbox has said everything, like going forward, but also like which is amazing.
Awesome.
Because Xbox is one-upped PlayStation in that, because Xbox is like, we got Xbox 360 games, we got Xbox original games, we got everything. PlayStation's a little harder for the ecosystems, but we're getting there. We're getting there, so you could theoretically have a console that plays all the games you ever wanted.
Yeah, so they haven't officially confirmed anything outside of PS4. So, and the reason why they said the PS4 was a definite is that it's using the same software architecture. I don't know how all that works, but they're using the same architecture. So PS4 is a definite. They do PS3 currently through PS Now. Not every PS3 game in the world, but it is done, and I think PS Now is going to get even bigger as they begin to work with Microsoft with xCloud. So but the thing is that you're absolutely right that they got one-upped. Like you can literally take not every 360 game, but a lot of your 360 games. You take the disc if you still have it, or if you like found it at a garage sale or whatever, and you go pop that sucker in there and you got that game.
As the cool thing about that also is that it reads the game, reads it, and if it understands that it is like, let's say, Knights of the Old Republic, it downloads Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
So if the game is relatively scratched, you're still good. That game still works.
And it doesn't need the disc at all. It actually they had, because the reason why it didn't work at launch is because they used different architectures. So they had to figure out a way to emulate it. The disc is literally just proof of ownership.
Correct.
I don't know why nobody mentioned this today. So this was mentioned back in the April article that came out at Wired. I just don't know why they're not re-highlighting it, because there's a whole bunch of people that don't pay attention like we do. We'll always tell you, but like literally there's people that are on the fence like, man, should I even buy Last of Us right now if they're gonna come out with it? You absolutely can. You can buy Last of Us in March and you'll still be able to play it on your PS5 in December if you're
play it again.
Play twice on Sundays.
I played the first one twice. I'll play you know what, I'm probably going to play the first one again leading up to the new one, because it is hands down objectively one of the greatest games to have come out in the past 15 years or so. It's just beautiful.
Which, by the way, it's free on PS Plus, so you should go add it to your cart right now.
Yeah, if you're not doing that already, do that. Come on. If you're, I'm thinking about getting PlayStation Now though. Like now that it's downloadable, the price has gone down. There's so many apps to it.
I was really upset that I didn't get to talk about that last week, just because the price is considered like way better now.
Yeah.
$9.99 a month, $60 a year. I don't have time for it. I'm buying games currently that I can't play, but it's one of those things where, say you don't play your PlayStation very much and you want some value. They added things like God of War, which is awesome. If they want to catch up to Game Pass, they need to start in doing some deals where like,
First,
hey, maybe
at launch,
maybe we'll give you a discount. Like they don't need to do launch because they're PlayStation and they're winning, but it would add some goodwill in there. Or if they would even just say like it'll be available 6 months later on PlayStation.
How cool would it be if it was like, hey, this new game's coming out and we're going to give it to you with PlayStation Now if you sign up, if you're a new PlayStation Now member right now, go.
I just don't like those because that doesn't reward the people who already were. It's like the same thing that I hate about.
And then discount for, as long as it discounts for regular members, yeah.
And it's like whenever an internet service provider is like, I will give you 100 gigs for $20 a month for the next year. And I'm like, what about me? I've been your customer for like 2 years. Where's my $20 internet?
My 20? Yeah.
No, I gotcha. It's cool.
Yeah. They got some news on DualShock 5 as well, which this is a little more nuanced, but adaptive triggers for L2 and R2, which is fantastic. They mentioned resistance, like shooting a bow, so you can it can be programmed so that way the triggers can be more immersive, and as well as haptic feedback, which that intrigues me more than I think a lot of the other stuff here. I've definitely improved speaker. I don't really care about.
So people
the speaker.
So people talk about like the adaptive triggers, and like just to be clear, those already do exist in custom controllers. I believe like the Xbox Elite controller can do it. But that is the user doing that. The idea behind this is that there's something that the developer is programming into the game that then the controller recognizes and reacts to. I think that's pretty cool. I want to know if you'll I assume you'll be able to turn stuff off. I also, with all these features that we're about to mention in this controller, the dev also has to care. Like they have to want to do it.
Sure. Well, I think that some games will see it. We'll see it in subtle ways, but I think the fact that it's there means that you can have developers. I mean, I don't think it's going to be something that's crazy hard to program for. Like from what I've heard, what is it? The HD rumble in the Switch Joy-Cons. None of the developers really want to dig into it.
Nope.
Because it's way too subtle, and 1-2 switch is like the peak of that technology.
Yeah, and so that's the thing about this haptic feedback that you mentioned. So haptic feedback already exists, like the HD Rumble that nobody uses, and then the Xbox One controller actually has it as well. And literally the only dev that I know not dev, but the only game that I know of that's used it is Forza. And so the only thing about both of these two features is that I assume that Sony's going to be like, hey, Naughty Dog, you gotta. Hey, Sony San Diego, you got it. Like that'd be cool with the bat. Sony Santa Monica, you have to. That's the only thing I think of, like with Sony doing it, and therefore maybe it forces other devs to be like, hey, this is cool. But Nintendo doesn't seem to be interested in doing it. Microsoft doesn't seem to be interested in like forcing anybody to do it. So that. But I want to be clear. I don't want to be like the true fanboy and be like, this is totally revolutionary. But the fact that they're highlighting it hopefully means that they are going to strongly encourage the use.
Yeah, and the haptic feedback, you're going to add immersion. It's similar to what I was talking about the HD Rumble on the Joy-Cons, but it's going to be able to be used in a considerably more immersive way. You mentioned on here like different parts of the controller. It could be different parts of the controller, but also it's not just a rumble. You can actually target not only parts of the controller, but how it reacts. So you could make it like have a nice light little tap, or instead of work, because rumble used to just be like large vibration, and now we're in a world where it's essentially able to give you a simulated feeling of whatever the developer wants. So it would give more impact to like gunshots and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it could be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's used. What was interesting about this that came out was that they actually mentioned in the Wired article, and I do encourage definitely listen to us, but go read this article. It's fascinating. There's a lot of good stuff in there. That this was actually something that was ready already for DualShock 4s, and they had it for the PS4 Pro, but then they opted not to do it because they didn't want to divide the experience among people who already had adopted regular PlayStations. They didn't want to break up that 95 million fan base.
No, that was a great idea.
which is a good call. And honestly, I think it also adds them more time to perfect it. I would rather have something that, is years in development versus something that they've already well, some people might use it. It's halfway through the PlayStation 4's life cycle. Nobody's going to touch it.
Yeah. So that's basically all for PlayStation 5 for now.
How much?
Obviously keep up. How much do I think it's going to be?
For a 5, the other thing is, this is an SSD, so this is expensive. Like, I don't understand. Like, are they making their own special drive to get it cheap? But like, I don't know. With this kind of drive in there, I don't know how it's under $500.
I was going to say, like 500. If they sold it for 500, they would more than likely be losing some money. But they may do it just to make sure that their price point is good. If it has all of the hardware that I'm thinking of, and they're still trying to cut corners one way or another, because you have to when it comes to console gaming. Otherwise, you're at a $2,000 rig like PC gaming.
Yeah. I think they're going to have to sell it a lot.
I hate saying it, but I think I would think that it's around $599, but $600 price tag. But $500 would be selling at a loss, in my opinion.
The other thing I want to know, so Scarlett hasn't announced theirs either. They also haven't officially announced the name. I mentioned it on the post because somebody actually asked about the price, and I said I think they're playing chicken. I think whoever announces first, the other person comes in at $50 cheaper or something. The thing I also want to know is Sony going to do a Pro model out the gate? Are we getting 2 models? The Xbox has already said we're getting 2. There's 2 Xboxes coming. What do you do? I want to know if we're getting 2 PlayStations, because I am going to buy. If you say that there's going to be a more expensive holy crap edition, I'm going to buy that one instead.
I'm totally going to buy that one. Yeah.
At launch if I can. I'm hoping so. I already told my baby. I was like, guess what you're getting, Dad, for Christmas next year, Theodore? I want to know. But they haven't mentioned it, and so I'm wondering. I think that could potentially be a smarter move than Microsoft by saying, "Hey, no, you get the Premier Holy Crap Edition console. Everybody, we want this accessible to everybody." $599, man. I think they have to sell it at $500.
Yeah,
I think if you want to win, you get a $500 console out there. Maybe it's the 500 gig. Like maybe you can buy a terabyte SSD for $600 or something like that. But somebody, Microsoft or Sony, you better be listening. I know you listen to this podcast. You need a $500 console. Yeah,
500 already sounds hefty.
Steep.
It's already steep. There's already people out there who actually Steven's actually watching in the comments. He's been wanting to get a Switch, and it's still at the point where he's like, got to save it up, right? I mean, 500 is considerably more than anything on the market right now. It's the Xbox One X, I think, came out at 500 when it first came out.
It did.
And it didn't sell that well because people were like, I don't know, like it wasn't a new ecosystem. It was just amazingly enhanced graphics for those who have a TV that can handle it. But I don't know. I think you're right. 500's got to be it.
Somebody's got to. You could sell a bigger hard drive version or whatever. I'm going to buy that one. But I think after this generation where you had a $399 console that was amazingly priced, the PS4 was so good. The PS4 Pro was $450, which wasn't terrible. The Xbox One X, it sold. What's funny is it sold like as good as the regular Xbox One, which I think was the surprising part about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've talked several times about the Switch too. Like, where's my Switch Pro? I'll buy it tomorrow. Yeah. But you still have to think about the lowest common denominator. Me and Patrick are not it. We are the people who are like, we want to tell you about the most awesome version of this console, but there's got to be the PS4 Slim and the Xbox One S are still greatly priced things. Like, yeah. If you don't own either of those, I recommend it. If you don't care about putting your Switch on TV, the Switch Lite is a great price point at $199.
It is. Honestly, if I had no consoles right now, so I love my Switch. Don't get me wrong. If I had no consoles right now, and Black Friday was coming up, I'd be saving up for a PS4 Slim.
Yeah,
like that's how I feel about it.
I mean, and the only reason I do that over the Xbox is because I think the exclusives are better. But if your thing is like, I just want to play Call of Duty, I'd save up for the Xbox One S because you'll probably be able to get one of those for $199 too.
That's true.
Man.
Yeah, and sorry, Steven, I'm not trying to call you out in the comments. Like, He's joking on there saying, "Go eat my sad ice cream." Like, not trying to call you out. Like, it just reminded me. Like, it's like the Switch. I mean, the Switch is a really good price point, but that's still $300.
Yeah.
I mean, so talk about $500 consoles, and you're talking about the average person, and especially we always think about this, like, but parents who are buying consoles for their kids. Parents may or may not play like video games. Like my sister, she doesn't really play video games, but her son does. So $500, that's steep. That's real steep. So what I would be playing on any of these new ones though is some Avengers.
Yeah,
and I'm happy to hear that that it could be around 30 hours. So that's good.
Yeah, They said that. I mean, you wouldn't think that from a game like this. You would think probably like 10, 15 hours.
I was going to say 15, 20, yeah.
Yeah, so they're trying to say that it's beefy. I have been less than enthused about this game. But the most recent announcement of who is going to be a playable character brought me back in.
Yeah.
Because they announced Kamala Harris, which is the new and current Miss Marvel. They have announced...
You mean Kamala Khan?
Kamala Khan.
You're thinking about the Democratic nominee.
Oh yeah, I am. Thank you for that correction. Yeah. Kamala Khan.
No, that would be a really weird placement. No matter how you feel in the political spectrum, I'm like in Marvel, like I don't get it. But no, I mean I was already going to buy it anyways. But what I loved was they were talking about in the interview, whatever. Text tweeting, whatever, they were saying she's always been a part of it, and I didn't think about it because I thought that whoever was doing the voiceover was going to be some kid that was just knew about the Avengers or something.
Yeah,
I didn't realize the voiceover was her, so that's pretty cool to me.
Makes a lot more sense. For like anybody who's like watched the brief story thing, like there's something that goes down. We don't really know what it is, but it's called A-Day, and apparently things get all jacked up, and there's like this few years, and Miss Marvel here is a part of like maybe bringing the Avengers back. Who knows like what it's all in there, but that brought me back. That made me a lot more interested in what they were doing. They're not just doing the base Avengers that from, even though they don't look like the movie characters, they were still doing the movie base Avengers.
The core. Yeah.
So that's cool. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think that they sensed that there was like not enough hype around it, so they were like, "Hey, you guys like Miss Marvel, right? She's cool."
Yeah. Well, I thought it was cool to mention this because, like you said, if it's been there from the beginning, it's cool that they're bringing it up now because hardly, and if someone noticed it, I didn't see anyone posting about it or talking about it. But either way, like you said, I think it expands it a little bit. We're going to get more. It's not going to be like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance situation where you get every single character, but I think the characters we're going to get are going to get the the right treatment. So I'm happy about that. Yeah. Not happy about Doom being delayed, but at the same time, as we always say, if you're going to delay something for the right reasons, if you're going to get it done right, then that's fine. But Doom is delayed until March. Where are we? March 2020. So
just for some placement, Last of Us comes out February 14th, Valentine's Day ish.
Oh wow!
Or is it February 20th?
I'm gonna double check.
And then Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out March 3rd. And then now Doom is going to be coming out March 20th. Crazy. And then like some other people were, I forgot. I don't have everything in front of me right now. If I had it, it would probably make more impact. But they listed everything for Q1, Q2. It's like a fall schedule. Like looking at what's coming out between like February and April. It's ridiculous. So it's going to be like double fall, but
February 21st,
yeah, I didn't have time to play it this year anyway. I wasn't going to play it this year. The only reason I'm a little bummed that it's not coming out is that means it's not going to be discounted by the time I do have time to play it, because I'm going to be knee deep in Last of Us and Final Fantasy when Dune comes out, so I'm still not going to play it.
That's all I'm going to be playing for like the first half of the year. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm playing Death Stranding here in a bit, playing Jedi Fallen Order, And I picked up Rage 2. I can't remember if I told you. Like, it was discounted for like $25. So I'm like, okay.
I heard it's worth $25.
That's what I heard. I heard it was decent. So I was like, yeah, I'll grab that. But I figured Black Friday is going to be another one of my times where I buy a bunch of games because they're going to be deeply discounted. And it's now what I'm affectionately calling my retirement game collection. Because I feel like after I retire, I'm like, all right, now I've got all this time. I got all these games. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it obviously sucks that it sucks for id because they haven't had anything big this year. Like they've had nothing going on, and so that's bad. They're missing goatees and so on. But at least with Doom 2016 is still holds up as a fantastic and amazingly playing action first-person shooter.
Yeah.
They want it to be just as good. And from what I've heard from the demo from like E3 is excellent. So they're saying, hey, it's not good enough. I respect when somebody says, hey, this game's not good enough. We want to give it to you when it's good enough. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for it.
Exactly. I don't like seeing developers rushed. I don't like seeing anyone in the arts being rushed for their product. You know, we want it done. At the same time, you have to know when it's done. You have to know when to stop tweaking it. But never. Some games will never come out at that point. So we got some slightly political news here. I don't think that it's really controversial for anybody on this side of the world. But we got some news in regards to some of the new laws with going on with Hong Kong and everything. I could probably talk about it in brief, but if you don't know about the Hong Kong protests and everything going on there, take a look at what's going on there, because it's pretty bad for...
They want them some freedom.
They want freedom. So Hong Kong is now a one country with two governments that both control it for the next 35 more years for that. So it's being oppressed now by China in ways that they hadn't been in the past 100 years or so. And people are protesting, and one was a prominent Hearthstone player who decided to use his time on a prominent stream which Blizzard was featuring to basically call it out and say we want freedom and everything, and the streamers ducked because they didn't want to be associated with this at all and cut to commercial. This guy's a prominent player, and he was essentially kicked out of the, what's it called, Grandmasters? The
Hearthstone Grandmasters, yeah.
So he would have either won or got a cash prize. They've cited a thing saying that basically if you say something that it's essentially part of this tournament said basically if you're on and you say something that belittles people or offends a section of people, then we're gonna, you forfeit. I understand that they're using that to kick him out, but I feel like that was the most lame way to just bow to the Chinese government.
Yeah, so I had to throw this in there because it's big and it happened today. This guy has even acknowledged, and I don't want to mess up his name, but his Hearthstone name is Blitzchung.
Yeah.
So that's what he goes by on streaming. That's what anybody would call him. He acknowledged, he's like, I actively knew when I did it that I was breaking the rules and that they would probably punish me, but I don't care because I have a platform and I needed to use it.
Yeah.
So what this guy gets, he gets a year suspension from Grandmasters. If you get into Grandmasters, you get money just for participating. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like it's a thing that pro players like aspire to, because it's kind of like a golf tour. Like, if for those of you who don't know anything about like PGA or anything like that, if you get into the PGA, you get money. Now, if anybody's seen Happy Gilmore, like you get a check.
Yep.
You get a check for showing up, and it's the same thing with the Grandmaster. So he does not get any of that money. He doesn't get to play for them for a year. Anything that he's gotten previously, he doesn't get. But he doesn't care, and this whole thing sucks. Like, we know what it is, and it's because that one of the biggest countries in the world happens to be one of Blizzard's biggest cash cows in the entire world with Hearthstone. It is huge in China. Like, think about how big Hearthstone is in America. It's even bigger over there.
And the recent law that they passed, which is literally called the No Mask Law, that they passed like in seconds, like without like getting any, it's because it's their control. It basically allows them to shut down any websites or companies through the internet like any time that they want, and all kinds of other stuff, as well as the facial recognition that's going on there. And it's sickening. It's crazy. And you know about this is China, mainland China. Hong Kong I don't think is affected as much, but you know about the social rating system that they have there? It's basically like that. I don't know if you saw that episode of Black Mirror. I don't know if you watch Black Mirror.
No.
Like, so everything that you do, you get rated on a social system of like, are you doing well? Or are you not? Like, did you give up a seat?
Are you a good enough citizen?
Are you a good enough citizen? So if your rating drops too low, then like you can't buy a car.
Sounds like a weird caste system.
It's insane. So like if you're rude and you bump into people on the sidewalk, that kind of stuff, like your rating goes down. And like their facial recognition cameras and other things are allowing them to compile this data. So it's not only a caste system, but it's also like an invasion of privacy. Like if I yell at someone because they cut me off, do I get penalized for that? I mean,
yeah. So we don't talk about sports on this channel because it's not what we do, but this comes on the heels of the Houston Rockets, who are also huge in China because they used to have Yao Ming play for them. And so ever since Yao Ming played for the Rockets are kind of like China's team in the NBA. They also, I don't remember all the details, but they also made a concession to China, and I think they basically made one of their players apologize or something like that.
Well, and I thought Yao Ming also is like tweeted something like supporting the protesters, and he's backpedaled that. South Park's the only one who hasn't backed down.
They never do.
Because right here, I got it. Like the NBA, we welcome our Chinese censors into our homes and into our hearts. We too love money more than freedom and democracy. She doesn't look anything like Winnie the Pooh at all. Tune into our 300th episode this Wednesday at 10. Long live the great Communist Party of China, and may this autumn sorghum harvest be bountiful. We good now, China? I absolutely love it.
So they got their episode censored, and they did it. But the funny thing was, it was an episode on Chinese censorship, and they got censored in China. Again, this isn't something we normally like doing on this podcast, and it's not something that me and Patrick are really qualified to go deep into. But just read up on it, and then if you're ever feeling like, hey, things kind of suck here, if you have a problem with our current governmental system, like, take a look at what's going on in some other places. Remember, like, hey, we get to voice our displeasure. I get to go on Facebook every day and troll one of my senators, and I do it actively.
And it's illegal for them to block you, which I absolutely love that they confirmed that ruling, because Trump was blocking people on Twitter, and they're like, actually, you can't do that as a public official. You can't block people. So when people say whatever horrible thing they want to say to him, he has to just deal with it. Which that's what happens when you're a public official. I'm not condoning trolling or anything. It's just something I do as my own little protest.
But I'm allowed to because I'm afforded that freedom, and they are not. So that sucks. And it sucks that Blizzard is saying you lose because they give us lots and lots of money. So do with that what you will. Decide how Blizzard affects you in that way with what you will. I've already seen at least one friend of ours that has removed certain programs. I'm not telling you what to do.
Sure.
But think about that kind of thing in the companies that you are willing to let that kind of stuff happen.
You have to vote with your dollar. You really do. That's where they will feel it. Side note, because I watch wrestling. I'll be
Hell in the Cell was terrible.
Okay, I'm one of the only people who was like, I see what they were doing, but so I won't go into details on it. But like people on Twitter, including people who used to be with the WWE, because of course people who are currently there would get ridiculed, would get fired possibly.
You can't. You're in a contract.
You can't. Exactly. But people who were like, they weren't necessarily saying like, oh, switch over to AEW. They were literally saying, if you don't like it, there's other places to go. So people who aren't in AEW, who are in the independent league, so we're like, you should probably just don't tune in on Monday. If you don't tune in, their ratings drop. They'll go, oh, geez, what did we do? They completely ignored they didn't even talk about it. They didn't even mention it on Monday. So I don't know. Anyways,
I wouldn't either. I don't know enough about it. I read up on the thing, but I also read that it was the second year in a row that they ended that event like that and that defies the whole point of a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah. It's a no disqualification match.
Yeah.
They said they called it as a no contest because they were calling in like medical officials and stuff.
When did they put a mask on Bray Wyatt and start calling him like when did he turn into Kane?
He did that earlier this year. It's like a Kane / like Undertaker.
He's like a demon, right?
Yeah, so they couldn't, and again I'll try to be brief for those who don't like wrestling, but like Seth Rollins was fighting him. Seth was like either losing or he couldn't take Bray Wyatt down, like, because he's the Fiend character, right? So Seth does his finisher multiple times. He's kicking out in one. It's not even like a 2 count. It's just one. He hits him with a chair. He hits him with a ladder.
Yeah. No, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, and then so you saw the ending. Okay. So people were like, well, you just did a disqualification, and then they did it all to have this like, spooky ending or whatever. And I'm like, why not just do that exact same thing, or have the referee stop him, like dude, I don't think, I think he's dead, whatever, and then he pops up and like scares him. Like, that'd be better.
Yeah, then they needed if they're gonna do the dead man, they gotta do the dead man.
Right?
And the other part that, like, again, I follow this very wide lens. I follow this because a lot of people I follow on Twitter like it. The fact that Kofi only took like one F5 and he's out, and this guy takes like a million whatever Seth Rollins' move is.
Yeah, it took like 3 Superman punches and like curb stomps, and it's like over and over. And
we all know that it's fake. We all know that it's scripted. But at some point, you have to like bridge some attempt reality.
Man, Kofi getting the championship was fantastic, because that guy's been putting in the years. He's been putting in the time, and he's a good wrestler.
He's a good entertainer.
But they push Brock because he's Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
and that's stupid.
That's what Brock Lesnar does.
We'll have a separate thing.
I didn't want to end too down as I did with the Hearthstone thing. So it's good. Start saving up your dollars, because in roughly 12 months, maybe 13, maybe 14, you're gonna have a PlayStation. So start saving now.
Well, can I start with this many? I gotta change.
Hey, any little bit helps. Any little bit helps.
So let us know in the comments. Are you saving up for PlayStation 5? Do you want the new Xbox instead, or are you just hoping that the Switch comes down in price or what have you?
Yeah, if you save $1 a day, you'd be pretty close.
Yeah, all you got to do is not go to Starbucks, cook food at home, and like, seriously, like.
Because you do $1 a day for 365 days. That's $365. You're
easy
theoretically,
easy
3/5 of the way there.
Yeah, that's easy math there, but that's true. Like, people don't think about that because they buy things that. Anyways, I won't go on a tangent about that, but like, seriously, you can tighten up your budget surprisingly well and get this done. But anyways, let us know in the comments what you think about all this news about the new PlayStation, and do you like that it's called PlayStation 5? Because it should be.
Bye. Absolutely should be. Okay, bye.